Unless the seller described the item as coming in 8,000 pieces, then it didn't come the way you wanted it to come, the way you bought it, the way they described it. All right, this isn't really a question. It's from Sue, and we love you, Sue. She says, I'm surprised that more resellers on YouTube don't mention the Tyvek bags that you can get from the post office for priority. I love them, large, sturdy, and free. All right, well, they're free unless they cost you money in extra shipping. So let me know what you use them for, but I'm going to tell you why I don't use them. I have them. See, I have one right here. This is the Tyvek bag she's talking about. They are sturdy. You can't tear these things. I mean, they're not just paper, and they are free, but they're priority mail. They're not flat rate. So if there's something in here that's anything under a pound, like clothing that you could put in a bag, put it in a bag, you're going to ship it first class. It's way cheaper than doing either of these. So that's first. And Sue, I'm sure you know that. So second is you want to ship it at the flat rate. The flat rate's going to be cheaper. If something's, 2-pound sweatshirt or something, if you can get it in this, get it in this. And I can get all kinds of stuff in this using a couple little tricks. So just look at the difference in size here. There's not much. There's not much that you can't get in here if it'll fit in here. So that's why I don't use it. I could see a big sweatshirt that you just can't quite cram in here and then putting it in here. Or maybe 2 pairs of jeans, you can't get into one of those, but you can't get into one of these. But at that point, I'm just going to use one of those boxes unless it puts me up to the next thing. So I have these. I bet I've used it. I might use it once a year, maybe. So Sue, tell me how or why you use this thing, and maybe we can get some better ideas. So you let me know, and any other viewer out there, how often do you use these? I kind of gave you a reason why I don't use these. Maybe you can convince me otherwise. Just reading through some questions on the last Q&A video on Commonwealth Flipper, but I guess if you're listening to that, you already know where you're at. Anyway, this is from Ivan, and I always screw this up. I don't know if it's Yvonne or Ivan, but I think I said Ivan, and you told me I was correct one time. And today's the day we got that gift from Turner. We don't air these things for a little bit later, but that was incredibly generous, and Turner is just loving it. So anyway, let me answer your question for you. He says, just curious on YouTube channel, if you skip the ad before it finishes, do you still get paid? Curious to know. Thanks. So I love this question because it potentially could make me more money. All right, so here's the deal. I get paid regardless if you watch the ad or not. However, if you watch the ad, I get a little bit more. But we're talking a little tiny bit more. So you have my permission to skip the same Mercari ad if you've heard it 700 times. So thanks so much. We appreciate it. I have a question from Gary. He says, hey, Kevin, how do you decide what to put in the antique booth and what to sell online, and what's in your booth? So, money. I mean, that's the bottom line. It's not just straight money. It's money and time kind of mixed together. What's the opportunity cost of listing something online when I could write a little sticker and stick it on it and then take it down in bulk to the booth? So, that's not a great answer, but that's the answer. If it's big and if it's something that's going to be a pain in the butt to ship, I'll take a little bit less in the booth and sell it in the booth. There's a lot of things that sell in the booth that just would not sell on eBay. I mean, I sell individual DVDs over and over and over and over again in the booth for a couple bucks. And, you could sell them for a couple bucks on eBay. Mine is shipping, the cost, it's just not worth the time and effort. It basically boils down to a financial decision. There's a lot of items, believe it or not, that I wouldn't sell in the booth at all, that I wouldn't buy at all, unless I had the booth. So, I have all kinds of stuff in the booth, so I can't really tell you. But for me, it's stuff that I would bundle together at yard sales. I don't have high-priced antiques in my booth. I just don't have it, very rarely. Maybe pictures and things like that. My wife sold a painting the other day for 75 bucks. That I wouldn't sell on eBay. It was huge. So big items, backpacks. There's an example. So vintage backpacks that are big, that are hard to get decent money for. You might be able to sell for 20 bucks, 25 bucks on eBay, or maybe take it to Play It Again Sports, but they sell in the booth pretty good for 20, 25 bucks. And so you don't have to ship them. That's an example. I've even sold, you can even sell lounge chair, lawn chairs in the booth. And you can sell them on eBay too. It's a pain in the butt to ship them. So, long answer, not exactly the best answer in the world for you, but I see my daughter at the door. Come on in, baby. So hopefully that helps. I have a special guest here, Reagan, with me today. She is helping me. We had a mug break, so now we're up to 3 mug breaks, and I think all of them except for a couple to overseas places have arrived, according to my data. So the worst it could possibly be is 5 breaks out of 90 some mugs, but I doubt that's the case. So 3, I think, is going to be the break, doing it all first class. So I think that's interesting. I think we might do it the same way next time, so we'll see. All right, the question is from Hunter Squad 4, and he or she says, how do you ship the baby/toddler shoes without a box? Meaning if there's not a box that comes with them. So there's a couple options. You could use a box like this. If the item can stay under 16 ounces, I would use a box like this. If it can't, I'm going to put it in a padded flat rate envelope. I'm just going to say it in the description. I might even contact them beforehand and say, look, in order to keep the cost down, for you to get a better deal, for me to get a better deal, we're going to do it first class. Most people would say, sure, great, saves me money, saves you money, we're good to go. So I would definitely figure out a way to get them shipped out first class. Most baby shoes, put them in a box like this, you're going to be perfectly fine getting them under 16 ounces. All right, retired good times. Speaking of returns, I am certain I sold a VCR to someone that took the entire guts out of the VCR and swapped it into an identical VCR that they already owned, and then they sent the one back. Of course, I think it's a switcheroo, right? So I've dealt with this before. So here's the deal, and there usually is a serial number on the VCR. Take a picture of the serial number of the VCR. That's one little trick that you can do, and have it in the pictures. Matter of fact, in your description, say, hey, at the very end of your description, I have the picture of the serial number. Another little trick you can do for your own peace of mind here, although I don't know if eBay's going to side with you, but you might be able to use it against the buyer themselves before it ever got escalated, is if it's an electronic, sometimes I'll take the battery, depending, if it's a $10 item, I don't care. But if it's a really expensive electronics item, you can take the battery cover off, and inside you take a really small little, you take a knife, take a little razor blade, and you can etch your initials or a letter or something inside of it, so that when they send it back, you'll know if it's that item or not. You could really do that anywhere you wanted to, all over that stuff. So there's just a few little things, but making them aware that you know about this trick and you're not going to fall for it in the description is one way to do it. So taking a picture of that serial number is one way you can definitely do that. Of course, they can switch that too, but at least it's one more little effort to stop them from doing those kind of things. So you didn't really ask a question there. I just kind of gave my input on there, and you gave your input on whether or not you'd give a full refund as well. So Retired Good Times, we appreciate it, and thanks for the non-question question. All right, here's one from Teresa, who is one of our longtime viewers, and we appreciate you, Teresa. I bought a beautiful milk glass pitcher, and I received it in numerous pieces, unfortunately. It sounds like 3 of my mugs that we shipped out. Hey, that's not a bad batting average, right? 90 for 93, I think we did all right. Anyway, paid $18 shipping plus price of the item wasn't cheap. Seller doesn't do refunds. What can I do? Seller says I can take it up with USPS myself. What do you suggest? So here's the deal, and this is why I do free returns, because it doesn't matter. This person's going to have to give you your money back regardless of doing free returns or not. So that's another reason out there to do free returns. Now, there are some items that I would not do free returns on, but that's for another show. So, Teresa, this is pretty simple. It looks like actually Jane and Excessive2 have given you some advice already. And I think, if I read theirs correctly, they're giving you the right advice. So, yeah, you can deal with USPS. That's, that's like going to the DMV. No thanks. So what I would do is simple, is I would just tell the buyer at one more time, just to be courteous. I would say, hey, this item showed up, broken. So I know there's insurance, whatever, that's fine and dandy, but this is not what I bought. This is not what I'm going to do here. So this is an item not as described. Unless the buyer unless the seller described the item as coming in 8,000 pieces, then it didn't come the way you wanted it to come, the way you bought it, the way they described it. So if they don't respond to that, then I would open a case with eBay. For me, I just do things, I'm nice about it to a certain extent. Now, if somebody came at me and started attacking me personally or my family or something, then that might change it a little bit. But I would send that one more courteous message to them and say, hey, this is what I'm going to do unless you want to deal with it a different way. And then I would open a case, and eBay is going to side with you. I have no doubt about it. And that's a problem sometimes, but it's not a problem with you because you're being honest. Now, I would also send them a picture as well, because when eBay is going to look at this case, they're going to look at the things that you guys have done back and forth communicating. And that's going to weigh their decision. But this one seems like a no-brainer to me. If somebody sent a message to me and said, hey, this thing was broken when it got here. Matter of fact, Rev Resale had to send one to me because his mug got broke. That's a no-brainer, right? You send them another mug, or you pay them the money that it cost that they initially put in there. If you want to deal with the return and whatever, that's fine. So anyway, Teresa, you're going to get your money back if you do that. So give us an update and let us know how it went.